Hello and welcome to the New in Chess Masterclass. Today we're celebrating the publication of a new book called The Most Exciting Chess Games You've Ever Seen. It's really a wonderful collection of 45 games, and they originated in New in Chess magazine. We have a back-page column called Chess Checking, and chess experts are asked to nominate the most exciting chess game they've ever seen. And this one was nominated by Danny Wrench from chess.com, and he nominated an engine game between Lila Zero, which started as Alpha Zero, and Stockfish, the second strongest engine in the world. And we're very happy that this game is shown to us by Matthew Sadler, because Matthew Sadler is probably the expert in the world about chess engines. He published Game Changer, a book about Alpha Zero, and secondly, he published the book The Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, which explains to club players how we can improve our chess by using chess engines and understanding why they are so strong. So please enjoy part 3 of the New in Chess Masterclass by Matthew Sadler and have a look at this wonderful engine game.
Next game that we've got is an amazing game. It's Lila Zero against Stockfish. It says TCC at the top. That's actually not correct. It was actually played on chess.com. And it was selected by Danny Wrench, the CEO of chess.com. TCC, that's where I look at most engine games that I do all my analysis for. The reason for that is that they're long games. So I spend a lot of time looking at them whilst they're played. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy that very much. The chess.com games are amazing, but they're played at really fast time controls. And I just find 5-minute games, to be really tough to follow. I just can't work out what's going on there. Okay. Names of the players. Okay, right. But very often somebody points out, hey, did you see that game played at the chess.com computer championships? And I will go and have a look at it. And this is an absolutely stunning game. So it's Lila Zero White against Stockfish, the probably two strongest engines in the world. Komodo Dragon vying with Lila for the second spot, but probably Lila is still there. Lila Zero, fantastic positional engine. Stockfish, tactical monster. Is if you want the short version. Of course, they can do everything way better than me. Oh, thanks very much, Willie. They can do everything way better than I can. But yeah, those are the general strengths. So E4, E5. The opening was, I think, suggested to both engines. They wouldn't play this normally. Probably the first 4 or 5 moves, in actual fact. So it's a slightly unusual Lopez with bishop c5. In principle, quite respectable. And the line that's played in the game, this move, knight c7, very odd-looking move, but it's a speciality of the Swedish Grandmaster GM Johnny Hector, GM from my generation, known for, very interesting ideas all over the place, white, black, gambits, everything like that. The key idea of knight c7 is that black just wants to play c6 and d5, gain a tempo on the bishop on b5, put the pawn on d5, and stand very well. It's a great idea, been played quite a bit and had scored pretty decently for black. But Lila came up with an absolutely stunning idea that's never been played before, and now nobody is ever going to play this with black again, which is castles and c6 played. And a lot of bishop retreats had been played before, but this move d5 had never been played before. So d5, giving away the bishop, and then d6. So, in some ways, once it's played on the board, then you start to think, oh, maybe I could have come up with something like that. I mean, the more you look at it, the more it seems like, you're going to, well, I guess, I'm probably going to regain a piece somehow, and then I might have some compensation because the black pawns are fractured. But actually, that's not even the point at all of Lila's sacrifice. I mean, that's just the safety margin that you maybe use as a human to convince yourself of, oh, could I play this idea because I might probably be getting a piece back. Lila's idea simply is to let black keep all its material and just bind black hand and foot with the d6 pawn and an e5 pawn. And why does this work and why does it not work in other positions? It's always to do, the way that these sort of incredible positional ideas, positional sacrifices are built up. It's always the initial idea, together with some tactical nuances that you've got to notice and be alert to in the position. And people often just forget about the second somehow. And the key thing is that well, after a move like knight c6 was played in the game, the key thing is that this queen on d8 is incredibly short of squares. It can't get out by b6, and when it's attacked by g5, it's got nowhere to run. And this just means that that is the key point that makes it incredibly difficult for black to get the pieces developed. But yeah, I mean, if you're alert to that point, then and it's all to do with the fact that this bishop on b6 is slightly oddly placed, and it blocks the queen. And if you're alert to that sort of stuff, then you can start to piece together all the evidence that makes it sacrifice promising. But obviously, if you don't notice that, then you won't really you won't really be able to judge whether this is a good idea or not. So let's have a look. I mean, if you go knight f6, for example, this was the move that I played in my playouts against the engines. That's very obvious. Give black this knight on e7. We'll just get our knight out, and we'll be fine. But actually, Leela doesn't want to take any piece. It just wants to go bishop g5. And yeah, the hilarious thing, of course, well, if knight takes e4, then we spot that bishop e7 traps the queen. Again, the first sign that this queen is bad. If you go castles, then hilariously enough, we just take on e7 and go e5. So we win just one piece first of all, and then afterwards we win a second one, just like that. That's the other point. And if you go h6, then we go bishop f6 takes and de. And queen e7, knight c3. And again, this is the tough thing with engines. I mean, if I look at this position, I'll say, oh, white's got really good compensation here. Yeah, I'm happy to play this with white. Leela's already kicked off its shoes and is already relaxing with a cocktail. It's saying +3 or +4, which in Stockfish terms, Leela's evaluations are quite depressed. So that's probably about +7 or +8 for Stockfish. Yeah, they are simply that good. But the idea simply is that white plays something like queen f3. It's going to follow up with knight f5, rook d1, and everything's going. It really is just killing for white. But if you assess it as, oh yeah, good compensation, wouldn't mind playing that. I think that's the most natural human evaluation for that. So Stockfish played the knight c6, and then Leela just plays e5, and just says, okay, Stockfish, how are you going to develop with black? And it's not easy. If you go something like knight h6, for example, let's put a little quiz in there. Quiz, what is white's move there? We'll give you 20 seconds for that. Off you go. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Ooh, it's looking good. Looking good. Yeah, we're getting some good stuff there. So, I mean, bishop takes h6 is quite will obviously be quite pleasant for white, but there's something even better than that, and that's the move that most people found, which is bishop g5. And the key point is that after f6, I just go e takes f6, and I'm threatening either f7 or fg. It's total carnage. Takes. I'm probably going to give a check and then go bishop takes h6 after. So I'm just winning back my material already. I mean, in actual fact, I think the important thing to notice here is that the variations are not difficult, but if you don't spot that initial thing of, wait a minute, this queen's really short of squares, that gives all sorts of possibilities, then you're never ever going to be able to think of a sacrifice like that, or even assess it properly. But I mean, the actual variations that you need to find are quite and not actually that complicated. Because if you see that what Stockfish did in the game was to play king f8, if you see that moves like that are being played, then you really do start believing more in the compensation. You start saying, well, if black's having to make those sort of moves, then I reckon that this is going to be pretty good for me. But yeah, you know, in order to appreciate that those moves are needed, you just need to have that idea about, oh, I've just noticed the queen's really short of squares. Tull again was fantastic in picking up on these little things. You know, the reason Tull sacrifices worked so well was there was always some irritating tactical thing, you know, with some misplaced piece that he'd spotted. You know, that's how it always worked. And yeah, this is just the same, you know, at the same high class, really. Actually, Leela thought that bishop a5 was maybe the best move, freeing the queen and also trying to ensure that after takes you could take off the knight. That's Leela's best move. The gorgeous point is that Leela thought that the best move in reply was to play a3 in order to play b4, restrict that bishop again, and then bring the knight to c3. You know, so calm, just waiting for it all to happen. You know, really, really lovely. Stockfish played king f8, and now Leela started developing, because you have to do that too. Rook e1. H6 played, just to stop stuff coming to g5. Knight d5 and bishop d8. So yeah, I mean, Stockfish is not looking good, but you know, Stockfish is planning to develop, right? It's going to go b6, bishop b7, get those pieces active, come out with queen e6, and then who knows, you know, g5, whatever, you might be able to you know, to pull yourself together somehow. And I mean, to be honest, you know, I play a lot of training games against Stockfish, and I've lost count of all the unbelievably brilliant positions that I've managed to lose against it. So, you know, that could definitely be possible. But Leela's really fantastic at paralyzing an opponent. I think there's nothing it does, but no engine that does this better. Not even Stockfish does it better than Leela. And Leela's next move is gorgeous, and that's b4. What's the idea of b4? We're taking away squares. That's what we're doing. And we're also pinning this pawn down. And if you go something like b6, then Leela's going to play a4. Take some b5, knock away that knight. Knight a5, rook a4. And actually, you're, you know, just in this way, you've managed to get this rook active. And yeah, it's going to join in the attack on the king's side. And after bishop b7, we've got this move knight f4. Leela doesn't want to exchange off its great knight. The queen can't come out to e6 anymore. This bishop's paralyzed. Oops, this knight's on the side. And well, we've got ideas like simply e6 coming in, which could be really, really dangerous. Or just simple developing moves like bishop b2 first. Lots more variations, but black's just completely dead. I mean, it's not, it's just really horrible for black. So Stockfish played a6, just yeah, trying to keep things together. Leela like Karpov, absolutely, yeah. Leela's prophylactic play. I mean, it's really you know, really the strength of Leela. The thing that Leela's less good at is the unbelievable tactics like Stockfish. You know, not that Stockfish is only a tactician. Stockfish, fantastic positional player as well. But you know, that's really where Leela is always struggling a little bit when Stockfish starts unleashing the incredible, you know, the incredible tactics somehow, which is nice. It makes it great fun to watch because you've got these two completely contrasting engines, you know, that can do all these great skills at amazing levels. You know, it really is very nice. I love watching engine games. So bishop e3 played from Leela. And now h5. Yeah, so Stockfish is sort of consolidate a little bit. It's now aiming to develop its knight like that. I'm going to give you a quiz here, but it's a bit of a toughie, or maybe not so much. I don't know. What I'm going to say is that, and I'll just talk whilst I'm doing it. Let's give you 45 seconds for that. But one of the key things that I noticed from analyzing with engines, and first of all Alpha Zero, but now all of the top engines, is one of the key things they do is they exchange off the opponent's active pieces and leave the opponent with passive pieces. It's the most powerful way ever of winning one positions, because what you actually end up with is positions where the opponent's got nothing that can do anything against you at all, and you know, and all it's got is just rubbish pieces. And I'm seeing some very good answers here. I think you've definitely got the idea. Excellent. Yeah, there's two moves which are nice. Actually, three, I think. Although I think yeah, one is the best. Bishop g5 is a very sensible move. Exchanging off the opponent's active piece, that's going to be the bishop on g8, on d8, leaving black with passive pieces. Bishop b6 is the move that Leela played, and that's the very strongest move. Knight b6 is possible, but somehow I think a knight on b6 is even more powerful, or even on c7 is even more powerful than the dark squared bishop in this case. So bishop b6 was Leela's move, and unbelievably strong. But I really have to, really do have to say this, that exchanging off the opponent's pieces, active ones, leaving with passive, is just an incredible winning technique. No need to take risks with huge kingside attacks. You just grind the opponent into passivity. And yeah, AlphaZero was incredible at this as well. It was one of the most noticeable thing about its style. So bishop b6, and now Stockfish just got a bit desperate, really. I mean, if you just don't do anything, then you're just going to remain with these pieces completely dead forever. So Stockfish found a tactical chance and decided, what the hell, we'll go for it. Knight takes b4. So just exploiting the fact that this knight on d5 is protecting the pawn on b6. So you're just trying to distract White's pieces in that way. But Leela had got an absolutely stunning riposte ready. Let's see whether you can guess the next move. We'll just do it one move. If you spot the idea, then it's stunning. It's actually to do very much with the fact that the black queen is completely without any real good squares. Yeah, it's an absolutely stunning move. I hadn't seen it, so you can just you don't need to feel worried about that at all. It's yeah, we're getting some good guesses there. Some people have got it. Great. Okay, so I mean, knight c7 is suggested, but yeah, it's not the very best, though it is quite dangerous as well. The very best move was the one played by Leela, which is knight f6. Ha, look at that. The point being that after g takes f6, we go e takes f6, and this queen on e8 is completely trapped. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, the key thing is, of course, that black gets a lot of material. But the problem is that a lot of that material is completely dead, just dead wood. Because after queen e1, we go queen takes e1, bishop f6, we go queen takes b4, bishop takes a1, and then we go move knight g5. And, if you look at this, you can sort of see that, black's got a lot of material, right? He's got rook, two rooks, and a bishop for a queen. And yeah, I mean, black's got the two bishops as well, of course. But if you look at quite a bit of black's material, you realize that this bishop can't move and the rook can't move either. So we're actually talking about completely dead wood on the queen side, which means that actually to protect the king, black's only got king, rook, knight, and bishop. Well, white potentially has got this and maybe a few pawns as well. Well, this is definitely an attacking unit as well. So actually, it kind of feels like black's behind in material, even though it's got such a huge material advantage. And this is what, the engines, again, are really good at doing, so good at judging mobility, the value of material in a position and view it, seeing that from afar, just really, really powerful there. So Stockfish started to try and somehow get its pieces developed. And maybe just another quick quiz here. Again, just it's a two-move sequence, exchanging off the opponent's active pieces and leaving him with passive ones. Can you find a two-move sequence that exchanges off a black active piece to leave him with more passive ones? Not easy, this one, a bit geometric, this idea. But just identify the most active piece in the position for black, and then work out how are we going to exchange that one. Oh, I'm seeing some good stuff here. I think a lot of people have got the right idea as well, but yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of good answers here. Dum, dum, dum. All right, seeing lots of different answers here. Some good ones. I mean, a lot of stuff is winning, but the most thematic answer was Queen D1, hitting the bishop on A1, Bishop F6, and then Bishop D4, just exchanging off the dark squared bishops. That's Black's most active piece. We're going to exchange it, and you know, again, yeah. And once you exchange off the dark squared bishop, well, squares like E7 become F6, become a total prey for the queen. Again, it's just this. This was Leela's intention. Again, it's just, you know, just a very typical way of doing. No big kingside attack, just gradually draining the life away from the opponent's position, you know, and winning in that way. And again, really recommend, you know, such a good way of playing. Well, after Bishop G7, yeah, modern Leela wants to play Bishop D4, but this Leela played Queen E2. Also very strong. So this is very much like somebody's answer in the main thing. Queen E1 still chasing the bishop. Queen E3. I think all of these moves somehow were suggested somehow in the quiz. So I think you can all give yourselves top marks. Knight G8. I mean, it's really pitiful, right? What's happening over here? And now Leela started to come in. Now the funny thing about Leela, we're not going to go through the whole game because Leela in those days had this amazing thing, but funnily enough, it also happened in the game of Go, where you had AlphaGo, that was an unbelievably strong Go player. That as soon as Leela's winning, then suddenly it's as if it loses interest, and it just thinks that any move is winning. And so actually, the conversion process for its wins is of winning in 10 moves from here. It would win in, like, you know, another 80 or 90 somehow. It's fixed now, actually. It goes for quick wins, but at the time it didn't. So the moves now are just starting to get a little bit mysterious, and you don't really understand quite why Leela's playing exactly as it is. But the game ended quite quickly. We'll just have a look here. Queen G6, put the rook on H5 here. Bishop B7 played, because after Bishop G7 we go check, King E8, Queen D5 hitting the knight, King F8, and then G6, and we're going to have Queen F7 check. And I'm not going to play through the whole game, as I said, because it looks very weird when you play it. You don't know what's going on. But yeah, Leela was obviously completely winning and won very soon afterwards. I mean, yeah, again, I think it was a really stunning game. I mean, as always with these engine games, people say, well, you know, would you be able to play that way? I mean, I really think the important thing is to just understand, what did Leela have to know in order to be able to take a decision like that. And well, there's the general idea that the pieces are completely blocked in, but the big point that you realize the queen on d8, just a positional factor, is really blocked in. And then once you've spotted that and you believe in that, then little variations, very short variations like this, are really at the basis of the whole e5, knight h6, bishop g5, are at the base of the whole thing. It's not rocket science afterwards to put the variations together, but understanding, first of all, the concept. Oh, thank you, Dilanem. Put the king in the box, exactly. It's doing my advertising for me there. So, but they're not very complicated variations, but they depend very much on spotting, positional factors along with the idea of being a piece down. But I do think, if you're exposed to those ideas, inspired by them, then you can definitely find ideas like this in your own games. At least be aware of them, and it's and yeah, if you ever manage to do it in a real game, then amazing. Just think of that.